All right, bro. So we're on to the next one, which is about being good brothers.
Good brothers. And now we're going to start to transition in these lessons too. Now we've dealt with the new covenant, the individual, and how we need to receive, we need to glean from God. And we're going to start to show now how that manifests itself in some real basic ways.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And brotherhood, this lesson being one of them.
Okay, let's start with that then. What are some key points that you would like students to focus on in this lesson?
Well, as I said, God is a God of love. And if you have the God of love dwelling in you, you're one with the God of love, you start to become more loving. Okay? And one of the best ways you can express love is by being a good brother or sister of your fellow man. In a general sense, more specifically to your fellow Christian brother or sister. You know, the two greatest commandments. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, strength. And the second is like unto it, love your neighbor as yourself. There's a brotherhood there. But just by virtue of being humans, there is a brotherhood. Okay? I go through that in the lesson. I don't want to belabor the point. Right. But there is a, I guess, a call, a sort of an inherent mandate that we know is there, that human life is valuable and therefore we should be loving to our fellow man. Right. That is there. We see that often in the world. I'm not saying man can't do loving things, right. Okay? But I will say that there's a different element added in the New Testament when you're in New Covenant with God. Right. When His Spirit's downloaded into you, you begin to view things from His perspective, and His perspective is, not only do I just care about their life now, I care about their life in eternal terms. Right. Therefore, not only will I love them by giving them a sandwich if they're hungry, or a glass of water, but I'll love them by giving them real spiritual food and real spiritual drink, and I'll convey to them a message that can transform their lives. And I think one of our callings as New Covenant, new creatures in Christ, is to be loving brothers and loving sisters, and not just with an action. An action can get your foot in the door. I know atheists that give to charities. Right. They can do altruistic things. The problem is there's nothing to follow that. There's no testifying of the reason for which I'm giving you this. You didn't earn it. I'm going to show you grace, and the only reason I would do that is because God compels me. I used to give guys some stuff out of my commissary in prison, and they'd thank me for it. You know, this is when after God got a hold of me, and His Spirit started to manifest itself outwardly in my actions, in my hands, and my feet, and the stuff I did and what I said. And I would give stuff to guys, and whenever they'd say thank you, I'd say, don't thank me, thank God. If it was up to me, I wouldn't have gave you anything. I was just being honest. You know, maybe once in a while, but not consistently. Right. You know, so there is an element there that's a little different than just seeing good altruistic endeavors in the world, right, as we do.
But as you focus on, it goes beyond the action. I started to think about like the Sermon on the Mount, and it says, don't even say bad things about your brother. Like it changes from just action to intent. Hating and saying bad things.
The reason is the evil attitudes of the heart, and that's why it's called the Beatitudes, how he starts the Sermon on the Mount. He's starting to deal with the mind and the heart. Evil actions start, the root is in the mind, in the heart, in our depraved nature. Okay? And so what Christ did, and he starts to talk about what he's about to accomplish with this new covenant, is point out the real problem. It's not necessarily murder, although that is a problem. It's the hatred you have in you that would compel you and lead you to murder if not corrected, right, if not dealt with. That's the beauty of this new covenant. You know, one of the last lessons of the last quarterly dealt with attitudes, okay, and actions. And so what God in the new covenant is trying to say is your actions aren't going to change unless you cut out the problem at the root. And the root is the hatred, the attitude, the anger, the stuff that gets pent up and then flows out in actions,
Right.
sometimes uncontrollably. And so that's, again, goes back to the new covenant. That's what Christ is going to start to deal with, and that's what this thing deals with. And it has to do much with brotherhood because, you know, I can't really love you the way God does unless God's in me.
In my heart. And then if I have good things for you in my heart in the form of love, then I won't say bad things about you and I won't harm you.
Correct. You can't murder me if you love me.
Right.
You can't steal from me if you love me. You wouldn't commit adultery with my wife if you loved me. Okay? Now you cannot love me and not murder me.
Right.
You cannot love me and not steal from me. Maybe you've thought about it, but you haven't actually committed the action. But if you really love me, there's no way you could do any of that.
Right.
And that's what God's trying to give us, His love, Himself. That's why He describes Himself as love. That's why Jesus summed up the commandments. Love God and love your brother. And that's all the other things take care of themselves. I don't need to tell you not to murder if you have love in your heart, because your love won't let you murder. And that's the difference between Old Covenant, New Covenant. Old Covenant dealt mainly with actions. Some mindsets, but mainly actions.
Right.
New Covenant deals with the root of the action, the heart, and the inner man. So,
A good deal, a great deal.
it is. It's the way to be changed, brother.
So, thank you, man. So, so
bring
I
it
think
on.
we were practicing this. No, the other one.
There you go. White man, black man, and then Batman. Yeah. Wasn't he both? He was white and black.
Well, let's not go there.
The Dark Knight?